not getting direct answers to your specific device. This is exactly why I love to use multiple devices. We have 3 communication devices. That's 2 spirit boxes, 1 word generator, my voice recorder where the answer can go. So you might ask a question, the answer might come up as a disembodied voice on my voice recorder, or the audio of the 2 cameras. Yes, they both record audio. So again, everything here, except for Elena's device, does some kind of type of communication. So it can go anywhere. So with yours specifically, Jen, nice and simple. Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. The first wife died in January. 5 months later, he married the one we just spoke about. So again, kind of a jerk move, but they're both named the same thing. Ironically, they both have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. So figure out which Eliza we're dealing with. You can also ask about the marriage, because you will get questions or numbers on that device as well. So you can ask her how old she was when she got married, or how old Charles was, and so forth and so forth. So just keeping your questions nice and simple. Which Eliza do we have, by asking her maiden name, and how old she was when she got married. Max. So for you guys, I'm actually going to give you guys the same series of questions. I want to see how this works out tonight. So you guys are going to ask about Eliza's death. So she's pretty open to speak about it. So basically, how old she was when she died, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So that's a pretty important thing, the fact that the president took her to her grave out of respect. So again, those are questions that we commonly get answers to at this location. So we'll kind of see how this goes with you guys actually asking the exact same set of questions. I don't want to poke the bear tonight just because the other night was a little temperamental with her, so I'm trying to keep things a little tame. And Jeaneen's like, what the hell? I'm like, I know these people. I will be honest with you. This is a space, you can hit that record button, Jeaneen. So
I did.
Okay. So with this particular location, I change this every single year by taking out one space and adding in a new one, because I do get a lot of repeat people, and a lot of locals will come down and see me more than once a year. So what I do is I take out one, add another, but this was a space I was looking to retire because I was getting disrespectful people out of my groups saying, come on, Eliza, let's do this. That's not the way you're going to talk to a prominent English woman. It's just not. What was happening was I was getting disembodied voices on the red spirit boxes that were not radio chatter, please just leave us alone, over 13 different radio stations.
Wow.
So I have the software to be able to see, like, is it legit, is it a radio chatter, or is it an actual disembodied voice? I got quite a few of those, but that was the longest one that we had. So what I promised them would we would be very brief here, and I would make sure I would go over a respect piece, and I do stop here every night before a tour just to let Eliza know how many people I'm bringing. Because again, I already know how many people is going to be in my party, so I always tell her, Eliza, I'm bringing 6 tonight. We're going to be respectful as we always are, as much as I can make strangers be, but please communicate back to us. I always cut through this line every single night. And Jeaneen's like, holy cow, this guy takes this serious. I have to. But again, keep in mind, 18 to 22 coming out of yours, Elena. If you get anything, every new number you get is the new baseline. So you've already gotten a 15 point, what was the number? 7. Look at her remembering stuff. You guys know shit. All right, so.
Oh, she has a good memory when she's interested.
So 15.7, that's your new, 15.7 is your new baseline. I don't want to know anything below that 15.7. We're going to keep it going up so I don't have a whole notebook full of numbers.
Does it keep track of how many people?
Should we start asking questions?
We're going to spread out a little bit.
Okay.
So I think we're going to just stay away from
this person.
just stay away from vehicles. These cars belong to people that work downtown. Sometimes they take their brakes in their cars, as you can see right now. But we are going to spread out and kind of see where the spikes are. With the I'll walk with Elena a little bit, but yeah, that's your word list. Just so I can show you how that goes. You hit the little white box right here, so you can see the whole list. And I'll kind of do that, and left is good. I'll explain that shortly.
Oops, spinning around, you're going to get this wrapped around your neck.
Sorry.
But I do like to work left. I'll explain that.
Just trying to get...
really the space. But blood was good, but a little too vague for me.
Okay.
So it wasn't specific enough for me to say, Big John himself giving us some kind of clue. I would probably want something else. I want something else with the word left. So we'll kind of see what comes out of this. Have you heard anything come out of yours yet? Have you been totally focused on me?
I've been focused on you.
Okay.
What are the questions again?
So all about death.
Okay.
Age, how, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer. Okay. So that's a big one too. Did you hear anything coming out of your guys' yet? Because I know you're both listening at this point.
The only recent things that I've heard was sorry and something else, but it wasn't really.
Yeah, it was us we were walking over.
That you know of. You have to remember that I'm withholding information on purpose.
Is that a name?
Well, her full name is Elizabeth. So I don't think I've ever seen that name.
What did I tell you? Sorry.
That's why I'm like staring at it like Have I seen that before? Again, I've been using this app for 6 years now, so I know kind of how it's going to work. Every once in a while it'll surprise me or something like that. Like, I'm going to count that specifically. I don't have to write it down because it's doing it for me, but she heard sorry.
Beth is raised where?
Yeah, let's find out where.
Where was Beth raised?
Yeah, we can spread out a little bit. Just stay away from those cars. I don't know who's sitting down. Don't be worried out about it.
So, go ahead and lower it.
Yeah, where are you going? Oh, point them at the cars. Hey Elizabeth, could you tell us when you died?
Yes.
My car started to creep me out. Let's walk over.
Hey Elizabeth, could you please say your name? Or the name of your child or husband?
Did you just hit Paul?
Somebody's already over there.
I know. I'm just gonna walk towards that one. This one's slow.
How's it going over here? You guys getting the gist of how to listen to this guy?
A little bit.
It takes time.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to.
And I know I talk a lot, so sometimes you have to,
Yeah, it's hard to.
I go back and forth. But again, no matter how silly it is, I don't care that you heard Harry Styles. I want to know what Harry was singing, if that makes sense. A lot of people want to tell me that they heard a certain artist. I'm like, yeah, I know you recognize the song, but what was the lyric? So
We asked the husband's name, and I thought I heard Paul.
You were talking, so I couldn't hear anything.
Miss Eliza, who's Roger?
Roger showed up here last night too. Interesting. Is it spelled with a D, like R-O-D-G-E-R?
Yes, it is. Roger.
That showed up here last night, or the night
and it's
before.
really orangey.
Yeah, don't feel
I
that.
don't care about that. Monitor.
What is the name of your husband? If you could please tell us.
Is it Roger?
It's not Roger, it's Charles.
I never know what's going to
Same
show
with
up.
her niece, I think, and her son. Who all in her family was named Charles again?
Her husband, her son, and her nephew.
Okay, no. Alright, I was
Oh,
close.
Natalie just took a seat.
Yeah.
She's like, screw this, I'm
She's
going to sit down and work it.
concentrating.
She's focused. She's super excited about this, by the way.
I'm
Yeah,
so
so
glad I
she
get to
gets
actually use
visited.
a spirit box. Also, I knew they were called spirit box. I don't know why
It's
called
okay.
them.
Ghost Box, a lot of people have called them that from the YouTube and there's some of the video games that are, highlighting that kind of thing. So,
Some flashes.
see that.
That wasn't there before.
You also have to look to see what his camera's pointing to.
I heard professional.
Okay.
Oh yeah, he is pointing that
But
direction.
it'll look like a full square of all these little tiny dots that make up a perfect square. So
Uh-huh.
you'll kind of notice it.
But that brightness is getting
Yeah, that is weird.
brighter. Can I walk? Should I walk
I
toward
would
it?
I would try to debunk it. Like walk right towards it. See what you get out of it. You follow up with Natalie. Natalie,
Oh
you
wait,
got
wait,
anything?
wait.
Oh,
You getting the gist?
Oh, it's here. It's a flash.
So
Yeah, we debunked it. It's this.
oh, it's the reflective. Okay.
Yeah, it's a reflection off of that.
Alright, let's go behind this.
Oh wait, wait.
Ah,
listen for any voices. Don't listen.
what you seeing?
Oh, it might be the lights above.
Maybe. Let's try to. Yeah. Okay, so I feel like these are gonna destroy my boots. These stupid rocks.
They won't hurt you, but it's your sorry.
I don't want them to be dented or anything. I love these boots.
Yeah, and that's what I want.
I don't think I'm asking the questions loud enough for her to hear me.
Oh, if she's a ghost and she's right here, she'll hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
What else? Okay, so
Can you give us a view of you? Give us a little peek.
I don't think that will work. Oh, maybe it will. Who knows? We can continue to look around and. Where were you buried? Wife.
Figure it out.
Oh,
With that, was it glass? Because there's a lot of glass here on the ground.
I heard wife.
her wife.
I asked where she was buried and it heard wife.
Okay. That's interesting. Again, it's not always going to be a direct answer.
Yeah, we debunked it. It was the
It was
reflector
reflectors
on the
Nice.
trash.
See?
The-
Debunking is fun.
I know. It's like, ah, darn.
You want it to be
I
something.
know, we really wanted it to be something.
So do you want to see like what I would be looking for on that? I'll show you
Yeah.
the biggest thing we've ever caught with it, just to kind of give you an idea.
I know, I'm looking for like a little apparition. I was like, Elizabeth, give us a glimpse of yourself or where you were buried.
I'm not sure she was buried here.
She's not.
She wasn't buried here?
Nope.
She lived here.
Oh, she lived here.
Too bad her house was taken down to make a parking lot.
Yeah,
Getting
I
any
thought about
spikes
buying this
anywhere?
space.
It's at 31.6 over there.
Nice.
Where?
Come over there.
Oh, by the car?
Kind of in the middle of the parking lot area.
Okay, let's go there then.
So,
Come on.
Wait, he's going to show me a video.
so this particular, this is one of the locations we're going to later. Watch right here. I put it in slow-mo so you can actually study it. Like zoom in on it.
Ooh.
You see how it stopped? It saw me and changed direction,
Yeah,
and
went
then
up.
disappeared in frame.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of criteria that goes into debunking an actual orb. So if
Right.
it comes from outside the frame, it's more than likely an insect. If
Yeah.
it appears in frame and disappears in frame, it's like confirmed. Like you're good.
Yeah, I usually don't believe those spirit orbs because I always think they're just like dust or something.
Yeah. Well,
Does-
that one was
usually
bigger
are.
than my head. If that tells you how large that was, and it turned. Like you didn't see that in the video, but I was able to zoom in when I was studying it to see that it actually turned before it moved up. So it actually had some intelligence to it. It was very interesting.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what I'm looking for. That came out of that
Almost
camera that
looked
you're
like
holding.
a flashlight
Right.
kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Anything crazy going on with yours, sir? Besides that little man that you saw over here?
When I was looking in that general area, like I saw multiple, like, of the
Come on,
three
let's go
dots,
to the
like,
center.
mostly bodies almost. It showed it, like,
This is
almost
probably where she's chilling out over here. Alright. Nice.
See if we hear anything over here.
Sure hope so.
Sit right over here by the car.
Yep. I heard that.
Well, let's not get too close because I want to see. So I don't want to get any reflections from cars going by either.
Elizabeth, can you tell me your husband's name, please?
Just let us know you're there. Just mentioning your husband's name. Or your age when you were born or married.
Age when you were born?
Age when you were born.
I mean, if we get a 0, then that's pretty good.
Yeah. Or a laugh. Let's make her laugh. You know,
I mean,
us.
she kind of needs that. She
It's
was
a laugh. She was
she-
married at 16, right?
She was really annoyed that by some people that one time, and she just wanted to be left alone.
Instead of being,
Just
let's
make
make
her
her laugh.
I try to at least get a Charles out of her. That's all I want here.
Alright, I'm going to rein everybody back. I think we got like enough numbers to show you guys how this actually pieces together. If you heard anything else that I need to know about? Nothing.
Last thing I heard was wife.
Wife.
You'll get the hang of this as we move along. You'll see. You'll get better and better. So, but yeah, let's rein everybody to the back.
Oh, too bad I didn't get to hear Charles.
Just gonna film as we go. Just in case.
I heard a
Yeah. Just a scream.
kind of scary.
I think that was for real.
Yeah, and obviously.
We got some pretty decent stuff. So,
Sir.
is that what it says? Nice. So that shows a little bit of respect back. Thank you, Eliza.
Internal kept grave spell.
Okay. So you only had
So
two
I
words
only-
along the way.
Yeah,
Okay.
internal and kept.
Pretty light. Alright, so this is a kind of a crazy place. Just so you guys know, we are not going to be spreading out in this location like what we did at the last one. What we're hoping for here is what I call bleed over. So the fact that you heard Daddy John, is that what you heard?
Yeah.
Along the way, that's probably bleed over from Big John's going into Pinckney Mansion. Even though those two people are from two different centuries, I see it all the time. So what we're hoping for out of this location is I'm here to stir things up. You guys are obviously going to get some great footage, and you're holding your camera perfect. Is it recording?
Oh, you didn't say the record.
Yeah, hit that record button, man. We're in a spot. So when these other tours start to pass through us, well, by the way, back to the bleed over. What I'm hoping for is after I stir things up over here by talking about, this gentleman that we're going to be discussing, we're going to get the bleed over at the next location along with clues from that location. So that's going to be the bleed over. That's normally what happens with this space. Again, this is a staple for every ghost tour in town. So if you've ever taken a Charleston ghost tour, you're going to come here. However, we're not going to be doing the campfire marshmallow story like everybody else. I'm going to be giving you a little bit more detail so you guys have an idea of what to look and listen for. So, what does it say?
Planet.
That's dumb. I'm just going to put it out there. It doesn't mean shit. Got me all excited for nothing.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're okay. That's why I say I don't want to hear everything or see everything out of
that's
yours.
true.
But this is called Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Dueller's Alley. That's because this is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So dueling was illegal at the time, so this was one of the spaces. So this was kind of like a hiding spot. We're going to talk more about that as we kind of move along. But anyway, they're telling the same story, but I'm going to give you the details. Here's how it goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. If the two of you actually hear Brown-Eyed Girl on your spirit boxes while we're here, it's not coincidence. It's part of his name. So if you're getting my point, Brown-Eyed Girl, Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. You get it here all the time. But anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money, and I don't know if it was $1 million or not because it's the 1700s. I doubt it. But she inherited all this money from her dead parents. And she's an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. Now, the attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So, by the way, if anybody ever passes through here, we're going to split the seas or all move towards one side and just let them pass. You'll hear me stop talking because I tell different aspects of this alley than what they do. I don't like them stealing my stuff. This is a very competitive market. But anyway, back to Dr. Ladd. So Dr. Ladd comes to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. So as he's coming into town, the coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to him coming here. But somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph. Ralph actually has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island, Ralph Isaacs. The letters R.I. were showing up on the spirit boxes all the time, so I bought a digital Ouija board that we now use on the tours, so that way we can see if the actual letters actually mean anything. If they have popped up, I've had the device for about 6 months now, and we've gotten it about 4 to 5 times when I'm telling this portion of the story on cue. So take that for what it's worth. I just wanted to verify what we were hearing. Why would we hear letters on a regular radio station? So I kind of wanted to get that device to verify it. But anyway, back to Ralph and the doctor. Ralph tells Dr. Ladd, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me to 59 Church Street. You can rent a room from some friends of mine and you'll be safe and good to go. The number 59 being very relevant here. But anyway, he takes him up on the offer. They become friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point. That he didn't want Amanda's money. He just wanted Amanda. So Amanda gets wind of this, and she's coming down so they can get married. Dr. Ladd is a very happy guy, and it is the 1700s. They call him the Whistling Doctor. I'm going to tell you that every haunted city you're ever going to visit in the future is going to have a whistling ghost. I can guarantee it. It's a cliche. We all have one. But there's actually proof of this one. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But anyway, Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other. Why? Because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. So they talk about these plays on the way home. On the way home of seeing Richard III, they're arguing over an actress that was new to town. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument turned into Ralph insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It got very ugly, and they went their separate ways. You're like, holy shit, I see where this is going. I can see the wheels spinning. But anyway, Ralph, being friendly around town, has friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in a paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of mentality. Doctor saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's just go to Dueller's Alley. Let's settle this shit. Somebody's gonna die. Right? Over an actress argument. That's why it's all started, remember? But anyway, they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot his one shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the
Poor
fight.
man.
Well, he wasn't quite poor, but Ralph was. Or poor man, like, oh, poor guy, that kind of thing. That could be that kind of phrasing too. That's where I come into play with all my crazy English degrees that I have. I'm like, oh, it's all about context. But anyway, back to Doctor. They came down, and like I said, he shot his in the air, but Ralph has his one bullet. So he puts his one bullet in the kneecap on the doctor. Yeah, that's a nasty move, right? So, Dr. Ladd drops to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street. He dies 10 days later on November 2nd. You guys did hear the number 2, 1786. after refusing medical treatment. I want you to also keep in mind that this guy's a doctor, and he probably refused the medical treatment because he probably tried to bleed it out himself. Gunshot wounds in 1786 were a lot different than what they are now. So again, take that for what it's worth. Every tour down here will tell you to listen for the whistles. Do you hear how quiet it is? It's always this quiet. Busy Saturday afternoon? Sounds like this. Just so you know, you can't hear the other streets from over here. It's the weirdest, uncanny thing that we have here in Charleston. What I will tell you is that if you're going to try this on your own and listen for the whistles and walk all the way through with your voice recorders from your phones, just keep in mind every local knows the story. We all know it. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single
Here's the
time.
bike.
Okay.
Yeah,
We're going to let the bike come through.
Yeah.
Really? Or is her not gonna let you? Specifically her for you. That's her dog moving around.
I've seen that in a while, but we got summertime coming, so I'm probably going to see a lot more. But anyway, I will tell you, like with the whistling portion, we have 2 video cameras running right now, plus my voice recorder. If it's there, it'll be there. I will also tell you that we have 2 spirit boxes running. We will get the word whistle on there. We will get whistling parts of songs. So think of Guns N' Roses' Patience or Moves Like Jagger. Like those have whistling parts to the song. We're in whistlers, like the Whistling Doctor's Alley. So take that for what it is. Now, I throw the whistle down here every night because I've been booted out of here. Let me tell you about that, because that's what makes this whole alley fun for everybody else that affected I got in trouble. Leaves are not your friend, just so you know.
Yeah. Was trying to get past, like, into the fence, like,
Oh, you got 5 layers of depth in there. You probably got to pick something up. You got all Jeaneen's like, what's he got? I seen the look on your face. So here's how I got booted out of here. This is the fun part. This alley didn't go all the way through from the way we came in. There was a wall up there. The reason why is because this was called Cow Alley before it was Dueler's Alley. This is where they kept some of the livestock for the city of Charleston. So that means the bricks on the other side are older. Those are older than the bricks that we're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, along with fingerprint swipes. You guys figured out I'm all about history and accuracy. I would always take my groups through the whole alley and show off those, because we all need to see it, kind of thing. However, I still treat those bricks the same way I do a grave. You're not going to find that kid there. It's not a paranormal anything. So, November 26th of 2020, my entire group of 10 is huddled around that brick waiting for something to happen. I'm trying to shoo them along because I know nothing's going to happen, and it's also because it's outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I'm just trying to be respectful to the house, not realizing I was out of bounds. I was still new at giving tours. The new owner of the mansion came out screaming. My daughter was on the tour that night. She was probably about your age. She thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at, and we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for Walmart for a good part of 20 years. You guys can see where I don't work on Thanksgiving ever again. But the next day I called my partner that I had at the time, and I told him what happened, and he said, dude, you can't go down that far. You're only allowed to go down halfway, which is about exactly where that group was standing, because that's the cutoff line for tours. Otherwise, I have to reroute the entire group. What I told my team that night, because I'm full again, is I'm going to reroute, but I don't believe in the next story, because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. You can already pick up, we're going to be discussing pirates next. So, now with that said, I didn't know a whole lot. So before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them who we were going to be investigating, the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I was kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens. We get over there, I told them what little bit I did know. Somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what that means. I write it down, I do the research. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300th anniversary of the pirate trial.
Oh,
so I was pretty excited about that. So I've been going back there ever since, but my shoulder shrunk when I figured all this out because I don't do pirates, but I've had to read more damn books on pirates than I ever wanted to in my entire life trying to piece this together. Here's my problem with pirates. Every pirate story you're ever going to hear is based off of lore. For a guy with a master's degree in creative writing, lore doesn't really cut it. So you need to read a lot of books to make sure what you're getting is verified. So everything we're going to discuss at the next location came from a minimum of 2 resources. It's also a hit or miss location, which is what I like about the bleed over going into that space from here. So anything going on with your devices that I need to know about before we leave the space.
Infant,
It's interesting. Liam?
mass, infant, and run.
Infant is very interesting. I'll wait to see if something else pops up with that. That's a story I don't always tell. I wait to see if the evidence is going to steer us in another direction. What about the 2 of you?
Last thing I heard was not gonna let you.
Not going to let you. And what was the phrase you heard again? That's weird.
It sounded like Joe Ryan.
We're not very normal.
I mean, he is really old.
Well, I should write it down because we're talking about Dr. Joseph Brown. No, that's too big of a stretch. I'm not going to let you, I don't know what that means. Those of you with cameras, if you want to keep them running until we get into the next phase, by all means you can, but we're going to be creating the Blair Witch Project along the way because we're going to be walking. But if you want to stop them, that works too. But when we get into our next phase, we're just going to stay away from all the other tours. We're going to just stay out of their way, they stay out of mine, that kind of thing. So just because we're investigating, they're telling stories and leaving. But that's a long story he's telling down there because I gave you guys extra details on what he's telling. So anything else crazy I need to know?
I thought I heard friends are friends forever
That's
when you
cool.
started talking about the duel.
Wow, that's
The
cool.
duel.
That's actually
I
pretty
like
cool.
it. I'll
Yeah.
write it down. All right, let's go learn about the rated R pirates. Did anybody else get my joke besides the adults? The rated R pirates?
I got it. Also,
Living among the dead? Living among the dead. Number thing for this.
You're still at 7 for this location. Did you have another question? No.
when it said never gonna let that, it was like right before you were talking about the dude who got shot and his friend trying to get away from him and run out of him. So I thought that was like
Conversational. Remember, I wait till stuff down. That's odd for this location.
I just heard no pallets.
I have no house.
Alright, so welcome to the Powder Magazine. So once I go through the history of this location, we will be spreading out. Just keep in mind the other tours love to come and cut through here, which is why I come to the back. We won't be filming them as they cut through, and if they are trying to talk about the Powder Magazine, we just come to another part of the area. A lot of times we'll stop right over in that area. But anyway, we're going to be discussing the Powder Magazine with the tiny little, the big crosses on the side. By the way, those aren't crosses, those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts, if you're not familiar with what that is, it's basically a turnbuckle that goes all the way through the roof. If we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, you can turn the turnbuckles and it tightens the building so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So the reason I bring it up is because it's part of the reason why we're here. Those earthquake bolts were the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston ever put in. Because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. So it was finished in 1713. So it kind of gives you an idea of the years that we're working with here. The building is what I call a familiar. Some of you watch the TV shows and the YouTube videos where they use like the teddy bear to attract the child ghost kind of thing. That's because it's familiar to the child. This is the same principle. We don't have many buildings this old. So this is something that Anne would actually recognize because she was coming here from Ireland when this building was being constructed. So for the adults in the room, the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. Now, the history actually begins right in the middle of the construction. So 1708, Anne Cormac moves here from Ireland. She comes here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? Because there's a couple of twists in here. So the three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. So how mad was she that they had to leave the country, by the way, by boat? Anyway, they land in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he's sending young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation to help keep things afloat. So you're getting the point of why we would be here. She would recognize the building. Now, Anne back home in Ireland was said to be a badass even back then. They say at the age of 7, 8, 9 years old that she killed a servant with a knife to the belly. We have had the term servant, knife, belly all show up in the same evening, so take that for what it's worth as well. But fast forward, the building's done in 13. By 1715, pirates were starting to come through Charlestown. So Anne is stoked because she's going to earn her freedom, just like a man. So it's a man's world at this point. First guy she falls in love with, and I said first because there's a handful, and we're going to go through all of them. First guy is James Bonney. You can already see where this one's going because you already know her pirate name. They got married because they ran away to Jamaica because her father didn't approve. Now, with that, James Bonney is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward. This isn't who she wants. A few years later, she falls in love again. This is John Rackham. They call him Calico Jack. This is the guy they based your Johnny Depp character off of, in case you were wondering who this guy actually is. Now, Jack has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it, but can't put a girl on a pirate crew because it's bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, then you could be part of it, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her from his wife. So she gets it. It's a man's world, but most of us are pretty much adults here. Let's put two and two together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant, and you can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba before she starts to show. Have the baby here, come back later, and we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to that child. Like, all my research never found it. She comes back dressed as a female as well. This makes Jack pretty angry. Now everybody's going to know that he let a girl in the crew, and they're going to vote him off as captain. She's going to go...
Manifest? A ship has a manifest, a list of goods
Captain.
on the ship.
I want to see what else pops up with that. What's funny is because I'm about to talk about the pirate crew that he captured is down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting with that crew.
It says construction.
Yeah.
It's been saying weird words.
I want to see what else we're going to get out
I
of
feel
that.
like this would definitely hate this because like
It
the
does.
branches and leaves are
There's like
generally
gel, liquid,
doesn't.
stuff like that.
So Anne goes flirting with all of the pirate crew that's down below deck. And the third guy that she's flirting with, this guy turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. Her name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. So her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure. But the British find out where they are. They send an entire fleet of ships to come take out one pirate ship. Anne and Mary, rumor, is that they were the only two pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet flintlocks. Obviously, two ladies with flintlocks are not going to take on a whole fleet of British Navy ships. They get arrested, and as they're being arrested, she looks at her captain in vogue, Calico Jack, and she says, "Jack, I'm so sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't be hanged like a dog." So the word dog shows up on your spirit boxes often. The judge wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly on their own after he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunken crew that wouldn't fight. So Anne and Mary go in front and reveal their gender to the judge, and he doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates. So he's still going to hang them. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they shouted, because you cannot hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail. Delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails out Anne, brings her back home, and she remarries. That's guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary, because we don't really know. She has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending, because we don't know much about her after her pirate career that was very short-lived. Mary dies a year later in 1721, which we did get the number 21 that was heard. That's why I wrote it down, because she died in the Jamaican jail. So use your imagination of what that actually looked like. Most folks will tell you that it was something simple like fever. I'm going to say let's make it romantic and call it scurvy. Why the hell not? Anyway, you guys all know what you're doing with your spirit boxes by now, so I left out a few details for you guys just to get started. This is not a prominent English woman. Feel free to poke the bear in this location. Again, we don't have to tiptoe around her. The questions or the answers I left out were the names of Anne Bonnet's parents. That's the father and the mistress. I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship, the city in which he grew up in Ireland, and the color of Anne Bonnet's hair, which I'll give you that one. That one's red. So it's an Irish woman. So Tim, with your camera, you've already figured out that the wall behind me is not your friend. So nice slow movements out of yours. That orb that I showed you earlier came off of that wall, just so you know where we're at with this one. Elena,
Go down to the powder magazine wall.
with your device,
Literally
don't get too
immediately heard
excited
someone.
when we're in the corners up there.
Moving up.
Because there's 2 electrical poles giving up a lot
Moving
of EMF,
up.
so you might go up to like a 7 to a 9.
Yeah. Why did you lean
so
away with the
basically,
when
maybe a 10,
hear
but
the
what?
Huh?
Yeah, at 2.5. So it's still going to be your new baseline until we can grow that. Don't expect a whole lot. This is not the Pinky Mansion site.
Alright.
Again, this is a hit or miss location. Really, it's about the spirit boxes and maybe the camera work based on what they
Moving up
So
is
let's
actually
spread
gonna
out.
do
and see
it.
if we can
Mean
get
anything?
it.
I got a. Okay.
Did you get something else?
I stepped and it said 7.5.
7.5. Let's see.
I heard moving up. Moving up. Really still here. Is that a 0? I stepped and it said 7.5.
And what's your property?
Square.
Mary, where's that be?
That's a big manifest. It could be like 2,000 pounds or something. I don't know. We don't know yet. That's just trying to put it
On your manifest.
thing is a lot of people say herbs like Spanish. Crazy. Shot, sorry.
Kitty.
Seeing if it's a ghost cat.
Yeah. Pirates used to like cats on their ship. Keep the rats out of there.
Is this what you two thought you signed up for?
Yeah.
Good. Some people show up and have no idea. Like that I'm going to put them to work and let them play with the gadgets and that kind of thing. Jen, how's your word list coming?
Sat, friend.
Really vague.
Yeah, just nothing.
Nothing specific.
05 Bridge.
That's the name of one of our radio stations.
Well,
See? That's why you guys keep me around.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking all of our numbers were. I was like, I think those are... I kept looking at the thing as it was going through.
But even still, there's a reason why 93.1 would come up when I'm talking about Eliza Pinckney's death, because she died in 1793.
Right, that's true.
So it shows up for a reason.
Well, especially if some, word that pertained to her
Like grave.
comes, yeah.
Like that's where things start to tie in. So even when I give you guys your analysis back, even if it's just one part of the clue, I still give you the research of where I got that information, so that way you can see like, oh, it was his left, and then you need leg, so forth and so on. That way it's always a, I'm just giving you half of it.
2256.
I don't know what that is. I also look at that as like May 6th, 1722.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Now I lost what the hell the number was.
2256.
Thank you. But I have to look at outside the box all the time and kind of like, is that a date? Are they trying to message us with something that happened specifically to them? That kind of thing. It's always about outside the box for me.
I've been hearing please and okay right after each other so many times.
Yeah, but what are you asking?
Yeah, are you asking anything?
I'm not asking. I wasn't asking anything when I heard it.
Okay.
Maybe they're saying, please ask
Yeah, okay.
something, okay?
About the context.
Please ask me something, okay?
What's her name again? What's her name?
Anne.
Okay.
Pirate Anne. What happened to your baby, Anne? Did it die? Did you have a miscarriage?
You can't just ask that.
Hey, he said poke
He
the
said
bear.
we can. Poking the bear.
That sounds mean enough.
Hey, maybe she'll appear. Maybe I'll just catch some kind of figure. I only get like 5 dogs.
It's very common. Did you eat a herb, Anne?
Maybe she wants to be
So you could go off with your pirate. Stay away from my baby, Anne.
Well, I kept getting like between 3, maybe 6 dots around the crosses. I'm trying to find things that people are near. Oh, that's my shot.
Yep. And what's a in the shop that we're at right now? We've had someone sitting on top of that garbage can. Just from where we're standing right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like
I
they
heard
were sitting on it.
$300.
$300 again?
$300.
Yeah, but you have to go for free to keep your skin.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like even when you give me like 3,000, I'm
Yeah.
only looking at. So what color is the red barn? You might get Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I don't need Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. It's red. It's going to be a lot of work.
So ironic. My last name is Rudolph.
No. But you get my point.
Yeah.
It's going to give you, when you tell me like 50,000, I'm like, I'm looking at more. Still right now.
Really dead on her.
Yeah, like she's got food in it. Well, how she just focused. She's in it.
She's talking to her. Talking to
I
Anne.
can hear chatter back over there. Yeah, it's just another minute. It seems like it's pretty much done tonight over here.
Yeah, I was poking the bear. Tell me about your dead baby, Anne.
Again, it's a pirate. It's usually the only way to get a rise out of it.
Yeah. Did you get rid of it so you could go off with your pirate?
I heard, how can a wretch like you? And then it cuts off.
It's funny, as we often will hear the song, girls just want to have fun. We get that here all the time. And it's that full phrase. Like, that's a long phrase to come through there.
Yeah.
So, alright, they're already seated, so let's rein everybody in. Come on in, Natalie. Tim. Okay, he's trying to catch my
Doctor.
Doctor. Finally got something done. Man, anybody wants to come up on your end?
No, it's just stuck on
It's on
the
device. Yeah, we got pretty much a light thing going on here. I'm surprised at the EMF readings we did get at 10.1 and 7.5 or whatever the numbers were.
All together.
Allison.
All together.
All together.
I heard Allison.
That's weird.
Is that one of her kids?
I have no idea. There's no record of them anywhere because they say she changed her
Oh.
name when she came back. Alright, so let's cover the answers real quick. I'll be honest, it seems like Max is the only one getting anything, semi-relevant, like that I know for a fact off the top of my head. So let's kind of cover these answers, and I'm going to explain the next space because it's a little bit different than what we've been doing all night long. I think two people with spirit boxes are going to super enjoy this. So we'll kind of see how this one goes.
I heard you're weird. What the?
Wait a minute. Just hold there. I'm trying to get action shots. I got a lot of money for this.
Disposable blindfolds. I don't want them back, so keep your own eye boogers. Do not put them on until we come back over. Here's why. When we start doing this session, because we're going to go over to that monument, I'm going to give them all the history. You two are not going to know what's going on. We're going to stay really close, tight-knit around you, because other tourists do come through here, and I don't like them to say, what the hell is Nick up to now? You guys are getting my point, especially when I'm blindfolding people in the middle of a dark park in the middle of the night. So one for each of you there. When you open those up, it's kind of, they're really thin, so you just kind of have to slightly pull them apart, and it'll make a ring, and then there's a rip, so it'll make ear loops over your ear. It doesn't go all the way around your head. So if you have trouble with it, try not to rip them to that. Kind of those are the last two that I brought in my bag. Now, I'm also going to hand you the noise canceling headphones just to play with, so you guys get the feel of these bags. So they're still relatively new, so you have to feel like how tight they are. You're going to have to put them on when you're blindfolded. Kind of get used to how they move around. Set for you. When I come back, I will give you a few tips and tricks on what to expect out of this, and for safety reasons, obviously. So, you guys ready to learn the history here? It's very brief. It's like 5 minutes. So,
Max, do you have a problem being in my photos incidentally? Okay.
All right.
Are we supposed to have these headphones on and then?
I'm going to walk you through the whole thing when I
Okay,
come back
okay.
over. I just wanted you to play with the stuff I just handed you, kind of get a feel for them. All right, come on over.
I'm not sure where this is.
I was getting. Well, I got like two couple
Come jump.
slight figure like around the front.
What's funny is that's exactly why I have that device, is because somebody brought the big one on my tour one night, like from what you guys see on TV. We was testing it out because we were in haunted locations. And we had a full figure standing next to this monument for 8 minutes, and it was full interaction. When I say interaction, it was a, hey Henry, can you please raise your right hand? Raised his right hand kind of stuff.
Cool.
Like very cool stuff.
Cool.
The only way he disappeared was because the only female in the group actually went to the side and offered her hand to be shaken. This guy's from the 1800s. He disappeared. That's interesting. But anyway.
Over there.
He said 1800.
Alright, so let's kind of go over the very brief history of this location. I want you to also know that I don't know a whole lot about this gentleman we're about to talk about. I've only been coming here for a few months. I learn about all of these spaces through, obviously, repetition of coming here for months and years on end. So, first came here, I only brought 2 people because I was experimenting with the new space, and look around, there's a lot of monuments. I didn't know what to expect. The young lady using the spirit box actually heard the year 1828 specifically, and the name Henry showed up. I was using the word generator list, and the name Tim showed up. This is Henry Timrod, born in 1828. So I went, hot damn, there's my ghost. So, here's his quick story. The guy was sick through most of his life, and he was a writer. So being born in 1828, he's obviously old enough to go fight in the Civil War for the Confederates, and he goes out to fight. His comrades realize he's too sick to fight. So they said, go home and be the voice of the war. So he came home and started writing poetry about what was going on the battlefield. He became known as the laureate of the Confederacy. So, a few years go by and he has a son. His son, you guys are going to know about, but they're not, because I'm probably going to poke the bear to try to get answers out of Henry about his son. His son's name was Willie. He was born on Christmas Eve and he died 9 months later. So those are the quick facts about his son. Obviously a tragic death. He's still mourning his son a few years as they go by, and his college friend realizes he's not publishing as much as he was before, so he offers him his cottage in the middle of Columbia, the middle of the state, and says, go use my cottage, leave the wife Katie at home with her parents to mourn, and you can finish publishing what you're supposed to be doing. He goes out there and writes his last words. His last words were, beholder of brief mortality, and then he coughs, and it lands on the page in a blood stain. That blood stain looks like a man writing at his desk. Now, they call this the blood book, and beholder of brief mortality translates to person of short life. So it's ironic all on its own. They show this book one day a year on Halloween over at the Charleston Library Society because that's where his collection is being held. However, the internet is beautiful, so I'm going to show you the page, and then we're going to go see what we can get out of Henry at the next, out of the Estes method over here. So, that blood book, this is the page that he last wrote. You can see the folder, brief mortality, and then the blood stain is pretty clear. I don't know if you can see it that far away, Jeaneen, but that's the blood stain from his tuberculosis. Yeah, it looks just like a person writing at his desk. So, let's go blindfold some people and let's have some fun with this. You guys ready? All right.
Under bed. Whoa. Hold on.
What we'll probably do, since you got the stuff on the nose, don't put anything on yet. So now that you take that on, I can see it. Alright, so Jeaneen, I might need your help over here. Because a lot of times what I'll do is have family members, if they're struggling with the earmuffs, to actually, I'll have them do it. But a couple of things. So first off, we're only going to keep you under for 10 minutes. So when I say 10 minutes only, it's because this can get very disorienting, like I mentioned earlier. I don't need you guys getting all wobbly on this. When we're done, and somebody taps you out, it's going to be your family member because I don't touch my guests. Somebody's going to tap you on the leg. That means you take off the noise canceling headphones and start taking your gear off. You do that yourself. If you're too loud, I want you guys to whisper. We can hear you. We're in a very quiet park. If you're too loud, a family member will tap your shoulder and you keep the tone down.
Okay.
When you start your spirit boxes, and I'm going to actually take Max's and actually restart it so that the recording is separate. You're going to tell us everything that you're hearing in real time. I don't want you to try to remember 10 minutes worth of stuff you heard. You're just going to tell us in real time what you heard in a whisper. This is also a space where you can answer yes or no. The reason why? You don't know what I'm asking. That's why I feel like it's an okay thing if I know what to expect out of the type of situation. When we're done, don't get up like I said, and remember you have to talk to us. You don't know what we're asking, but kind of keep that in mind. Just answer whatever you're hearing. 10 minutes, somebody will tap you out. So, Max, let me see your spirit box real quick. I'm going to stop yours and start a whole new recording, so that way it's separated in your analysis.
If I don't hear anything.
You will. You've actually done pretty well tonight. Normally, if somebody didn't do well with the spirit box up until this point, I don't actually let them go under like this. So, let's see. So I'm going to set, make sure I can hear that volume coming out of there. Also, do not touch your spirit boxes. We want to make sure you guys aren't cheating and turning on your spirit boxes to hear our... Alright, everybody, let's crowd in nice and tight. So that way nobody can see what the hell we're actually up to. I love your shoes, by the way. I just noticed those.
Doc Martens.
It's a spectator shoes down there. Alright, so we are looking to speak to Henry Timrod. Yes, Tim, please come in forward. Stand up, please. Yeah, we want to crowd him. Henry Timrod, can you please tell us what your occupation is, please? Henry Timrod, if you're here, we would like to know your occupation.
Home Depot.
It does not work at home.
Do you love history?
History? I do love history. That's why I'm trying to learn more about you.
No downtime.
There we go. I want you guys also to notice I'm not writing anything down so I can stay focused. I want to make sure that their breathing is going to be okay.
Another one.
Anybody starts to get a heavy breathing, too
Do whatever.
At a time.
Iowa, love.
Henry Timrod, tell us what your occupation is. I'll accept anything that is in the English area. So word, writing, pen, anything that works that will describe what your occupation is. We're being very respectful.
5'5".
She got history. Yesterday?
Someone tap her on the shoulder a little bit.
With a head?
Henry Timrod, please?
Might disappear.
Let's go straight into your family. Can you tell us what your son's name was, please?
That was.
What was your son's name?
Free.
Natalie seems to be struggling a little bit.
Close.
Can you tell us where your son is buried? In relevance to your memorial?
Yes, tonight. Anticipation.
Gee, where's you gonna hear anything too? Henry, where's your son buried?
We spent a lot more time together.
Wow. Ooh, that's a long phrase. We have been spending a lot of time together. Henry, is that you that's answering these questions for us? That's a yes-no format?
Money and power.
Just got all the damn money. Henry Timrod, is this you that we're communicating
7 years.
with? Give us a yes-no answer.
Each.
Henry Timrod, we would like to learn more about you.
3.
So if you can please come
100.
through and give us a little bit more details to the questions we're asking. These are very vague. You've been vague for the past few nights.
Nothing.
So if you can give us some clear answers of any of the questions I've asked, your occupation, your son's name, possibly his birthday,
You.
where is your son buried in relevance to you,
Factory. 92. U.S.
Chicken.
we get that a lot here. I don't know what it's for. We get it all the time during this session.
Weird.
It is weird, and I can't find a relevance.
Maybe they like chicken.
Well, we've had 2 other ghosts like to try to come through. If I ask how many ghosts are here,
Indeed.
the answer is going to be 5.
Indeed.
10 days.
Even when
How many spirits do we actually have here with us?
damages.
Because there's a lot of mixed messaging here. I'd like to know how many spirits we're trying to communicate with.
Of God's great. Always.
It's been about 5 minutes, so everybody knows. Henry Timrod, if you can
Now,
come through and push
let's talk
forward.
about-
Let's talk about your occupation. I need proof that you're here before we really start to press forward.
Keep it quiet.
Oh, we're trying to keep quiet. Being respectful to the neighbors behind us. Come on, Natalie, give us something great.
Hotel.
Like your hotel. What about their hotel? Is it dirty? That's a yes-no question.
Yeah.
You're haunting
Get
us.
it.
So keep your... What about us?
Who is us? Give us names. Who else is here?
You.
Period of turbulence.
I know I'm here, Henry.
Feisty ghost.
Henry's usually pretty shy and timid, especially when there's a lot of other tours coming through. It's really like pulling teeth. Like what we're doing now. Like I feel like we're really trying to yank and try to get answers. Henry, we're about to hear some sounds coming out of the church. Can you tell
5
me?
episodes.
5 episodes. How many people are here?
2 of us.
Oh. Who's the other? Henry and who else? Give us a
4.
name.
The things in life.
Her husband.
Here's one. We've gotten this answer before. I've only done it once or twice. Henry, can you tell me your wife's maiden name, please? It was Goodwin.
In another language.
She was French.
It just doesn't matter.
Okay, let's go to the question that I normally ask. What are we hearing from
Okay.
St. Michael's Church right now? What's the sound? Keep an eye on your word list because sometimes
Please
it shows
don't
up
go.
there. Well, we're not going for another few minutes. We
Please.
just got to give us some answers. What are we hearing right now from St. Michael's Church?
Proudly president.
There's no presidents buried over there. What was the sound we just heard? Lena, have you gotten anything?
Reality.
Entitled child.
I want-
Pastures.
What was this? What's the sound we're getting right now, Henry? What's happening right now?
Swing. Well, the bell's swinging.
We've had the word bell swing like spelled out
Rolling
on that Ouija
numbers.
board device.
Office. What?
What's the sound?
Today.
Well, you've already said yesterday.
Keeping our economy back on track.
I swear this is Joe Biden.
We're running out of time, Henry. You need to give us some kind of answers. We've asked a lot of questions, just like we always do.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
That.
Can you answer any of them?
But I wasn't.
Give us something nice and simple about what you did for a living. You give us that answer and we'll call
So my
it.
We
temper.
barely did yet last year.
Wait.
He was a poor man. He was not like a slave owner.
Do.
Henry Timrod, tell us your occupation and we'll call it quits. We'll leave you alone for the night. We'll make a deal.
Gatekeeper.
You were not a gatekeeper.
Yesterday.
Spy.
You were not a spy either. Did you fight in a war? That's a yes-no format.
Thomas. More than a week. But enough.
Are you telling us your wife's maiden name was good enough since her last name was Goodwin? That's a yes-no question.
On. Waking.
Earlier.
8.9.
Henry, we got about
Number
30
3,000.
seconds. She loves them numbers.
Your music.
Okay, Henry, and whoever else is here, we're
I
gonna.
said look.
Where are we looking? We're gonna tap them. Henry, last chance.
Blood gangster.
Weird.
The blood book.
Love me.
oh, the
Oh.
blood, yeah.
Okay, Henry. Do you want us to stop? Yes or no? We're at
In
about
a way.
we're at about 11 minutes. Henry,
Faith to God.
would you like us to stop?
4:30.
Was Thomas Pinkney here with us?
Airport.
Yes or no?
Say it with me.
All right, Henry and whoever else was here, our family members. Let's go ahead and tap them out. Tap them on their leg. Yeah, they kind of jolt a little bit.
Ugh. Oh my goodness. That was horrible.
That was awesome.
You actually did really, really well.
You did
Yeah,
great.
good
Maddie.
job.
Natalie,
They said-
you got money on the brain. So you heard a lot of numbers. Well, first off, how do you guys feel? You guys okay?
Yeah. I started
Oh.
like feeling like my body was going like that.
It can get disorienting, so
Yeah.
don't get up right away. I don't need baby giraffes on the ground. You gotta get my point. How long do you guys think you were under?
Oh, it didn't feel like 10 minutes. It felt longer than that.
Okay.
I felt shorter.
Most people will say it was about 2 or 3 minutes. You were out almost 12. You guys
Oh.
were starting to give us some relevance, so I kept you under for a little bit longer just to see how it was going to go.
My heart just like racing.
You okay?
It's kind of scary.
Yeah. So
When
yeah,
she
definitely-
said look, I started trying to scan the area.
Well, also when I'm actually going to watch this portion because I think something new popped up tonight. You could stop your video if you want, kind of give your hand a break.